Alrighty, I want to do a quick explainer on how to utilize Codio for your lab assignments. So here we're looking at Lab 2a. You're going to follow the instructions, and the instructions are always going to be on your right hand side. On your left hand side is going to be your starter code that I put together. So you always want to take this top part here, and you want to make sure that you are entering your information so I know whose assignment I am grading. Now the other thing is, when we scroll down all the way to the bottom, there's going to be another section down below here. You don't want to make any modifications or changes. What we're going to be doing eventually is going to be learning what that does. To give you a quick little tutorial of what it's doing, we have a keyword here, message. Well, not a really keyword, basically a function that I end up creating called message. So that is going to actually come up here and start executing information in this function. So anything underneath here. So this is basically the start of the function. Now, when you're adding and writing code, you got to make sure, please make sure, otherwise you're going to get errors, that your code is also indented. So generally speaking, when you're in the editor, you click on return, it basically aligns things correctly. Now sometimes you might accidentally tab back, and you're in this particular section right here. You notice where the cursor is, and when I start adding some lines of code, let's say we'll do a simple print help me message here, and now let's take a look to see how we're going to run and execute the code. There's actually two different ways. So in the instructions down towards the bottom, there's going to be run and check your code. Now here we have a problem, and that is identifying that we have an issue with line 28. And if we look at line 28, and if we look at line 28, well, that's a simple print function there. Well, the problem is not actually with 28, it's actually what is above. This is why I say the indentation is critical. As we're going through, again, this is a function, everything needs to be indented, and what it's thinking here, that this is all the code for this particular function, and this basically bumps it out, and now this portion over here that's starting up is kind of in limbo. So that's why we're getting that error code and in line 28. Now another way I like utilizing this is by coming up here and selecting run up on top. So if I click on run, another window is going to pop up. And what the easiest thing to do is actually take this and drag it over to the other side. So you get basically a side-by-side of your code and the executable that's out. So again, we're getting a little bit more detailed information in this particular screen. I kind of like this method. Again, we have that there's an issue with line 28 with the print statement. And if we actually look at it, we have an unexpected indent. And again, it's not on line 28 because when we look at the code, again, here is line 28. Here's line 28, and we have an unexpected indent from the code that's above. So now if I come up here and tab over once, then come back over here and run the code, you notice now that it worked. Now, to the point when you're going to be running the code, things going to get down to the bottom, and what you could do is also type in the word clear at the bottom right here. And what that will do is clear the screen, and then once again we could run the code one more time. And then you could click on the guide over here to get you back to the instructions. And then once you're done, you could also submit your code for the assessment here to check it to see if everything has been configured correctly. So that's a quick recap of Lab 2A.